My name is Volodymyr Ladnik, which is Ukrainian for Vladimir, but usually people call me Voldemort or Vlad, whatever I like better. And I work for Create Karma and in developer efficiency team, which means that we build tools for developers. And recently open sourced one, and it's called Mimic. And actually there is a website that you can use right now. It's called mimicjs.io. And let me explain what exactly is Mimic, what exactly is the tool. That's the service impersonator for developing, for testing, for anything you can think of. So what it does, it can impersonate any of your microservices you got in a company, and it will help you with developing, it will help you with testing. And if you go to that website, I guess the first thing you do is you go to Getting Started, and since talk is cheap, and I will just demo the tool, and that will be the best thing to show you how capable it is. So if you downloaded the tool, that's a desktop app written in Electron, and it supports GraphQL, Thrift, REST, and some other cool features. And let's imagine that you have GraphQL server and you want to develop against non-existent or like hard to set up GraphQL. And we started the tool. We go and choose our GraphQL schema. It will parse the schema. And then it will create a service that fully implements the schema. So basically, that's my schema. That's like user, notification, some tweets, some query, which means that I can start GraphQL application and go and like, I didn't start it, so that will do it. Which means that I can go and query it like I'm actually running actual GraphQL server locally, and I can actually set up, I can read documentation about the service, go and search whatever types I got, or whatever users I have, that's like all built in. And I can define responses, and like there is a JSON representation, and there is a tree builder where you can say like, oh, I don't want to think, I just want to set up something. So let's say we got a tweet, an author, and first name, and last name, and we say like John, HTML5. So we save it, it instantly changes response, and you got it back right away. So basically, it's fully valid GraphQL server running locally without any setup, without any implementation needed. As a matter of fact, you can actually export wherever you created. So if you export, you can say like which services you want to export. They will be exported together with responses. So you go and save it as like exported Mimic. And Mimic, other part of the tool, is the headless version, which is like needed for if you want to decide to run continuous integration tests. So I start the headless one. It's in npm package that creates CLI version. You point at the exported file, and then you can still get the same response while the desktop tool itself is completely shut down. And you got responses logged into your console. And let's go and start it back. The other thing also, the tool itself also logs responses. So in case you want just to see what kind of requests are going from the client, you can go into request and see what exactly was the requests. So at the current moment, we support GraphQL, Apache Thrift, REST API, and develop, which is really easy for us because GraphQL is how we expose API to the front-end services. Apache Thrift is how our microservices talk between each other. REST API is our legacy API, and if you didn't find the protocol you need, there is a develop tutorial that's not created yet, actually, because this site was published like today. As a matter of fact, the last slide is the website itself is mimicjs.io, where you can read documentation. Right now it just has like 2 pages or something, but it will be more since we're working on adding more stuff. The use cases is local development. Basically, you don't need to set up anything. You just load, import, thrift schema or GraphQL schema, define REST API, anything you want, and it's gonna work. The integration test, which means that you can actually run it in CI and run like integration tests or unit tests against mocked data, and service mocking, which is like wherever everybody can do it, also can do mocking. So that's it. That was short, I guess.